Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Horsesmouth's monthly marketing meeting. I'm Sean Bailey, editor-in-chief at Horsesmouth, and I'm here with Devin Kropp, associate editor who runs the advisor-client program, among many other things. And our advisor-client program is our turnkey marketing program for financial advisors. But with our monthly marketing meeting, we like to first cast a wide take on things that are going on that anybody who's listening can benefit from our conversation about marketing for financial advisors. And then as we move through our marketing meeting, we start to narrow down and start discussing specific things that advisors who use Horsesmouth Master members and advisor client members, we talk more specifically about actions to be taking over the next 30, 60, 90 days. So Devin, good to see you again. It's the start of the fourth quarter. What should people be thinking about right now?
Yeah, so it's time to start thinking about year-end planning. And today we want to discuss a couple of actions that everyone should be taking over the next few months to make sure that not only are they finishing off 2021, reaching those marketing and business goals, but also preparing for 2022 and getting off on the right foot there. So looking at some year-end planning ideas, number one, I think is everyone needs to be sending out a kind of strategic communication piece that's focused around year-end and sending this out to clients and prospects to make sure that there aren't any loose ends on various topics. So I'm sure your broker dealer or whoever you use has some sort of piece like this, a checklist where you can kind of run clients through important areas in their life to make sure that you have all of the most updated information on. And if you are a master member or an advisor client member, you have access to what's called our last chance financial planning checklist. I know we've been talking about that piece a lot in these recent marketing meetings, but I think it's such an important piece and really is a good representation of the things you might want to be checking in with clients this time of the year so you can get them in for those year-end meetings. Also is a great piece to facilitate referrals. So we can actually take a look at it here so everyone can kind of see what's covered here. So you have an idea of what we're talking about. And if you can see that, we kind of run through various topics that you might want to cover with clients and prospects. So there's taxes, questions like, do you need help projecting your income, review, your potential deductions and credits for the year, things like that, where you can start planning for tax season. There's a retirement section talking about, have you maxed out your 401k or Roth IRA contributions, things like that. We have investments, insurance, making sure that everyone's reviewing their insurance forms. If there's any beneficiary forms that need to be updated, that's happening at year end. Milestones, this is a great section too, I think, when it comes to referrals, because even if someone doesn't fit into one of these age milestones, like, 65 when you comply to Medicare or 72 when you need to start taking your RMDs, they might know somebody who fits into one of these age milestones. And because it's so specific, people are much more likely to recall a person and say, you know what, oh, I don't fit into any of these, but my brother's turning 65 and I know he doesn't know anything about Medicare. Maybe you should talk to him. So this is, I think, a great area of the milestones. Health, obviously, reviewing health insurance plans. If you have an HSA, going over that, anything related there. And it has the second side too. And before I switch over, just want to obviously add that this can be personalized with all of your information. You see mine up here as a sample, but you would be able to add all of your own. And then on the second page, just general changes. So did you move in the past year? Did you lose your job? Did you change your job? Just anything that, might need your USA advisor might need to know for planning for next year or going forward. And then lastly, there's the family, any cash gifts to family members, education accounts, anything like that. This would be the area where you would go over that. What's great about this is you can send it out to the client and they can go through the checklist themselves, check off the areas that they want to discuss with you. If they have any notes that they want to share, they can add this here too. And there's also this section here where they can add their other professionals' information. So again, if you're reviewing taxes with them, it might be important to be able to talk to their CPA, and here they can add that information. So not only can you work with them, but you're also meeting a new strategic alliance as well. So this is a piece that we definitely recommend sending either this version out if you have access to it, or if you want to purchase it, or sending out something like this that kind of encompasses all of the different areas that you might want to review at year end in a pretty kind of handy checklist there. So this is one piece that I would say you need to be sending out something like this at year end, just to get those conversations going with clients, and also sharing it with prospects too, and trying to get more year end meetings to kind of reach your year end goal.
Yeah, one of the reasons I think this is so powerful is that it reinforces to the people who are receiving it, whether they're your clients, hopefully your clients are getting it, but also prospects as well. It reinforces your positioning as being the chief financial officer for them, or you as the financial educator. You're putting these very concrete kinds of things in front of them and asking them to take a little bit of time and reflect on the questions being asked, because even though you're meeting with your clients on some regular basis, as we move into the last quarter of the year, for a variety of reasons, maybe you're not fully up to date on changes that have gone on in their life, or simply they've become interested, like a lot of people are interested in taxes because it's in the news so much, and they may have some specific questions for you, or even investments. I mean, all these topics are really critical. And again, this is our 5th or 6th year of doing this, perhaps more. And the one thing we hear every year is that when advisors do this, it generates meetings in the final quarter of the year. And the meetings inevitably lead to new business, whether it's new assets or bringing in referrals, or just making some smart moves that reinforce your value and build the client's confidence and trust in you. But Devin, it entails getting people to, just take a few minutes out from their busy lives and review the questions here. You have developed something in the last year that we now call action webinars, and this was, I think, our lead action webinar. So can you talk about a new approach that we have to this service, this campaign, your Last Chance Financial Planning Checklist campaign? Can you talk about your action webinar approach?
Sure. So you just said, we know that you as an advisor probably send stuff like this out, and sometimes you have clients who do it and respond right away, like your A+ clients who will listen to you and take the time to sit down and do it. But there's also clients where they get busy and all of a sudden the checklist ends up in the bottom of the pile on their desk, and you don't ever get it back. And so we started developing what we're calling client action webinars for most of our kind of key checklists that we recommend advisors send out throughout the year. And basically, this is just a short presentation that walks, participants through the checklist. The idea here is you can schedule, a webinar on this topic. We had one advisor do this. I think it was like a Wednesday morning at 8 a.m. She told her clients to, grab your coffee, just sign on for 20, 30 minutes, and we'll walk through it. And this is a great idea because then clients have a time frame that they're going to commit to sit down and do this. It's very easy for people to say, oh, I'm too busy, I don't feel like doing this right now. But if you have that time built into your calendar for them to sit down and actually go through it, number one, they're more likely to fill it out. And number two, you're also able to kind of add your own commentary on the areas that you're going through. So like Sean, you were saying before, taxes is in the news a lot right now. You might know that your clients are concerned about taxes or have questions about proposed tax changes. That could be an opportunity for you to give a little bit of commentary on that too, as you're going through the different areas. And again, with the client action webinar, we have built in calls to action in that webinar, meaning that as you walk them through it, you're also repeatedly saying, if you had major changes or you have questions about any of these topics we're talking about, make sure that you schedule a meeting with me and come in and we can discuss this more in depth, because everyone's situation is different. And it's very likely that you had some sort of change over the past year. So let's talk about it. So it's a way to get people to take the action that you want, which is number one, to fill out that checklist in general. And then number two, to have them come into the office. And so for our advisor client and master members, you can actually download the PowerPoint slides on the campaign page. It's, again, really short, about 20 minutes. You should be able to get through the whole thing. But it just is a nice way to set aside time for clients to be able to take this action.
Yeah, I think it's, it's really any sort of thing that you're able to send out to your clients and check in with them in the last quarter of the year is great. And we've kind of teed this one up. It's very pointed, very specific. And so something for you to think about. In fact, we may do more between now and the end of the year on it, but not in this setting. But let's move on to some other topics that people can be thinking about for marketing in the fourth quarter. Devin, what else do you have in mind?
I think one area that I know that advisors don't really like to do, but I think it's important, especially as you're thinking about planning for next year, is to actually survey your clients. Again, we've done unofficial surveys on this in some of our workshops, and I can say with confidence that very few advisors are doing this. And usually it's because there's some fear about getting, not great feedback or, compliance issues with that. But I think it's really important that, if you're going to sit down and schedule out time to plan your marketing for next year, your events for next year, how you schedule your meetings for next year, that you're reaching out to clients and seeing, what they're satisfied with, what they're looking for more of, and just their general feedback. I think this is especially important this year because it's pretty likely that you've probably changed some of your communication styles through the pandemic. So maybe you're doing more, virtual meetings, maybe you're sending out more emails, more videos. And I think it's good to survey clients and see how they feel about that. You might have clients who are loving it and want more of it. Some clients might say, even as we get back to quote unquote normal, I still prefer this virtual setting. It's much easier for me. And so you're able to, at least then when you're thinking about communications and events that you're going to be doing in 2022, have a little bit of real-time feedback from clients to know, okay, this is working, this isn't working, I want to do more of this. And also, I like I said, people worry about bad feedback, but you're still going to get some really great comments from clients as well. And, you might find things that people on your team who are, doing an especially good job, things that clients really like that maybe you haven't been doing enough of. And you realize, oh, this is something that, across the board, people are, loving the short videos I'm sending out. I'm going to do more of them. Helps you focus for next year a little bit more. And going off of that too, we have a whole campaign in Advisor Client that is on creating surveys, where you can go here and you can download the toolkit. It walks you through how to set it up. It's really easy these days because there's so many online survey forms you can use that are free, like Google Forms and SurveyMonkey. It's easy to set up, and it should only take your clients a few minutes to kind of go through it. And again, it will help you kind of focus your planning for next year.
Yeah. And, one topic that comes to mind, as we reach this point in the pandemic, is going to be the issue of virtual events versus in-person events. Some people have, well, first of all, it's recognized that the virus has been raging to varying degrees at different points in the last couple of years in different parts of the country. So some parts of the country were in total lockdown, and some people were still doing live events. I shouldn't say in total lockdown, but like people were having, serious outbreaks and everybody's being very careful. They weren't doing live events, but other parts of the country, it wasn't happening. But now that has kind of switched around. So it's like we've had severe outbreaks practically everywhere. Some advisors have gone totally virtual. Some have gone virtual and in person. Some have just done in person. And frankly, at this point in time, it probably would be good to know, what your client base feels about this, regardless of how you feel about it. How are they feeling? Are they ready for in-person events next year? And if so, what are the issues that they may want to have addressed to feel safe? Maybe also at the same time, you'll discover that they really like webinars as well, because, for your clients, moving from the kitchen after dinner onto the couch to pull on the laptop and see a webinar, from 7:30 to 8:30 or whatever the time is really easy compared to going off to a live and in-person event. So that could be, that's particularly a topic, I think, that could be surveyable, to create a word. So yeah, I think, but the key thing from advisors I've talked to over the years is that while people kind of cringe a little bit, worrying about negative feedback, when people do it, it seems like overwhelmingly they're happy that they've gotten great responses from their clients, because people want to know that their opinion about the service that you're delivering is valuable to you. So client surveys, I think, have a huge potential. But there's the other side of this, or sort of an adjoining issue, and that is the client advisory board. Devin, what do you got to say about that?
So the client advisory board, I would kind of describe it as a in-person or face-to-face survey where, you're inviting a select group of clients. You might not want everyone there just because it'd be too overwhelming, but having them come in or meet on Zoom and having kind of a discussion about the questions that you might ask in a survey. So things like you were just mentioning, Sean, in-person events or, virtual or a hybrid, that could be a great conversation starter there. Talking about your communication touches. Is it too much? Is it not enough? Seeing what they think about the services that you've been offering this year. This is something that I know Debbie Taylor does every year. She talks about it in her practice management workshop, and she always asks attendees who else is doing this. Usually it's either zero or one other advisor going out and doing this. And again, there's a lot of kind of fear about the negative responses. But for the most part, I know Debbie will say herself, she finds it incredibly valuable to have those clients come in or meet on Zoom and, share their opinions about what's working in the business and what's not. And it helps her plan for the future. And from a marketing standpoint, number one, but also from a client service standpoint, making sure that they're able to communicate exactly what they can offer to their clients and having clients help with that process. So that might require a little bit more work than just setting up a survey and sending it out to everyone, but it can be a really valuable experience. And I know she makes it a little bit fun too. Like they were in person, she would have, lunch delivered in, and it was kind of a little bit of a social event for people to get together and talk to. And she's always had, fantastic feedback that comes out of those advisory board meetings.
Yeah, I know an advisor up in Westchester, New York, who rents a room at a nice Italian restaurant, and they come in and have sort of drinks, even do a little wine tasting, have a dinner. But everybody knows, as soon as dinner is served, that they're going to start presenting and going through new marketing material and their client services and just a range of things to get feedback. And so it's both a client event and a, advisory board meeting at the same time. So that's something people should really give some thought to. Devin, our third item for year-end planning ideas has to do with what you call bootcamp, or the business plan builder. What are your thoughts there?
Right. So we've spent some time today talking about what you can be doing at year end to service your clients, right? Communication touches, surveying, seeing what they, want more of, what they don't like. But I think an important part of year end too is planning for yourself and planning for your business, and carving out that time where you can actually sit down and build out a business plan or a marketing plan for the year. Because we know that most advisors do not have a marketing plan. And the advisors that do have a marketing plan are usually more confident that they are going to reach their goals for the year. And you don't want to be waiting until January 1 to sit down and do this. It's good to take out the time now and start thinking about, what your goals are for your business for next year and how you're going to get there. So we do have some, resources available to advisor, client, and master members in the program. There's a business plan builder on the Horsesmouth site that will walk you through building a kind of comprehensive business plan. It's online. You can fill out your different answers, and it generates this nice report at the end to get you started. And then, of course, an advisor client, we have our 4-part bootcamp series. This will be revamped this year a little bit differently if you've attended in the past, because we introduced this year the marketing calendar for advisor client, where we lay out the different marketing actions you should be taking every single month. So the communication touches you should be sending out, the different presentations you might be wanting to present to your clients. And so we kind of already have a marketing plan built for you in advisor client now, where bootcamp used to walk you through kind of creating your own. So this year we're going to be kind of taking that marketing plan and building on it in bootcamp. So saying, we've given you the kind of base level of this, and how can you elevate it to be really effective? So we'll be talking a little bit about more advanced strategies of, how can you up your communication touches, whether that be using video in your emails or video online, talking about how you can have seamless events, things like that. So bootcamp will be a little bit different this year. So you definitely want to check it out if you're an advisor client or a master member, because we will be taking that marketing calendar, which will be available for 2022 shortly. And then we'll be building on that of how you can really use that in your business and make sure that you're implementing all the different actions that we're recommending each month.
Good. So we've hit on 3 big themes around year-end planning ideas, with, hitting your clients and prospects with some sort of checklist. We've offered last chance financial planning checklist as one idea, but there are others. We've talked about surveying your clients and/or convening a client advisory board. And then now the third one we just talked about, boot camp, attending a boot camp, or just going through the process of building out your business plan if you've never done that before. And Devin, there's one other thing you want to make an announcement about: key financial data.
Yeah, actually, I have 2 kind of brief announcements I want to make. One is that our preliminary key financial data card is coming soon. Most likely by the end of next week, we'll have a preliminary version out there. So you'll be able to purchase and download that. Advisor client and master members, you get the PDF for free. So you'll be able to kind of start that communication with clients and prospects. For those who are unfamiliar, our key financial data card is this reference card that has all of the key numbers that you need to know for the year. So tax brackets, capital gains, retirement account, Medicare numbers, pretty much everything is jam-packed onto this card. Again, so preliminary version will be available next week, keeping in mind that we may see some tax changes before year end. And so again, it is the preliminary version. And when things are finalized, whenever that happens, we'll have a final version for you too. But I think it's a great idea to get that preliminary version sooner rather than later and start communicating with clients on it, because they likely are confused and have questions. They're seeing bits and pieces in the news, and you can really be kind of a source for them to let them know, all right, this is what it's looking like right now. And then if things do change, you can alert them to those changes as well. So it just gives you a lot of communication opportunities. And again, for you to kind of get out there and be a valuable source to them, instead of where they're picking up these bits and pieces, some of which may be true and some not. So you can really be a trusted source on that. So keep an eye out for preliminary key data. And then my second announcement is for advisor client and master members as well. If you have been using our quarterly review presentations that Debbie Taylor has been putting together, we do have the 3rd quarter review almost ready to go. Finishing touches are going on it as we're meeting here right now, and that will be available later today. So if you have been waiting for that, I know some advisors have reached out to me asking when it will be available. It will be available this afternoon for you to download.
Great, super. Okay, so now let's move on to absolute specific advisor client actions for the month of October. So just for you who may be out there listening for the first time, we've been talking, more broadly about things that you can do for marketing in the 4th quarter. We've offered some specific examples with services that come from Horse's Mouth. Now, in this part of our monthly marketing meeting, we're speaking directly to members of the Advisor Client Program and Horse's Mouth Master members. The Advisor Client Program is turnkey marketing for advisors, and Devin's going to step us through what's on the plate for October. Devin?
So October is National Cybersecurity Awareness Month. When we build our marketing calendar and Advisor Client, we look at all of these kind of holidays and months that exist, awareness months that exist, and try to build our calendar around that. The reason being, the topic is in the news a lot during that month, and you can kind of be very timely with your marketing if you come in and have, communication touches that are also on that topic. So October right now is Cybersecurity Awareness Month. We've already had a number of cybersecurity incidents this month that have been in the news. Most recently, the huge Facebook outage and the potential sale of Facebook account information on the black market. So it is very timely to get out there right now with some different cybersecurity related communication touches and presentations that you can put on. So our recommended article reprint for the month is called Four Common Elder Scams and How to Fight Back. This is a topic that we've heard a lot about from advisors where they've had clients who have unfortunately suffered from some sort of elder fraud. We know that senior citizens are targeted at a higher rate than non-senior citizens with these types of scams, which is very unfortunate. And so this reprint really walks your clients through the most common scams that are out there, what they can be looking for, and what to do if they do think that they fall victim to it. So this, I think, will be a very appreciated piece if you send it out, because so many people are affected by this. We actually don't even have real accurate numbers on the number of victims, because there is a large majority of people who do fall victim to these scams who are unfortunately too embarrassed about it to even share that they fell victim to it. And so the numbers that we have, aren't even as accurate as they probably could be. And this is a kind of a huge problem, continues to be a huge problem. So this at least will help your clients kind of be able to recognize these different scams that exist out there.
Yeah, just so everybody understands what an article reprint is too. An article reprint is an article that has been written by Horse's Mouth's subject matter experts and then edited for it to be client facing. And then it has gone off to FINRA for FINRA review. And then it's placed into our article reprint library where you can access it and customize it, putting your photo, your logo, your contact information on it. And it becomes a fantastic communication touch with your clients and prospects on, we've literally got hundreds of these articles that have gone through that process. And each month, Devin identifies a good one to absolutely get out the door to your client list. And this month, it's 4 Common Elder Scams. So great. What about on the presentation front, positioning yourself as the financial educator? What are we recommending people present sometime this month?
So we have our kind of flagship cybersecurity program presentation called 1 Hour to Savvy Cybersecurity, 10 threats and how to, everyone faces and how to fight back. I think this is a fantastic presentation to be giving this month because it is interactive. It walks clients through figuring out kind of what we're calling their cybersecurity score. They take a quiz and they rate themselves. It's usually not a great score. But the second half of the presentation is all about taking actions to boost that score. So you're laying out these different actions they can take right away to make sure that they are improving their cybersecurity. And they leave that presentation with an action plan that they are committing to do. And so it is very action oriented. It's very interactive. We've had advisors who give this as kind of a client event, usually during the month of October or anytime during the year, really. And clients have come back and said, this is the best event you ever did. I'm so grateful for this information because cybersecurity is something that we all face these threats every single day, but we usually don't have a professional in our lives who are explaining, you need to be aware of these threats and this is how you can better protect yourself. And so you can kind of come in as a cybersecurity guide here You don't need to be a tech expert. Most of the actions are fairly simple for clients to be able to take, but just taking these simple actions will greatly improve their cybersecurity. And so we have advisors who love giving this presentation every single year because clients love it. They'll get referrals from it, and it just overall is kind of a great service to your clients and to your community in general. I also just want to mention we were talking about our client action webinars earlier. We also have a client action webinar for our Savvy Cybersecurity Quick Reference Guide. This is kind of just almost a shorter version of the 1 hour to Savvy Cybersecurity, but it just walks people through the kind of quiz part of the presentation where you're making people, answer yes or no to these questions, get their score, and then more quickly going over actions they can take. So if you find that you don't, have time for a full presentation or you want to do something shorter, you can also do this client action webinar. You can share the reference card with them, and then they're able to go through that card and take those actions as well.
Good. And so at this point in our meeting each month, we really look at 2 months. We look at the current month that we're just beginning. And then we also spend a little bit of time, because we have kind of a 60-day lens, looking ahead to next month, November. Last month in September, we mentioned that cybersecurity was coming up, and now here it is. And so this month in October, we're mentioning what's coming up in November. And what's that, Devin?
So our theme for November is year-end planning. So a lot of the stuff that we were talking about earlier in today's meeting, but we have some resources that you can share with clients before year end that might be helpful for them as they plan, but also for you as you plan for them for next year. So our article reprint for the month of November is 7 questions to ask your CPA before year end. So this is something that you can send out to clients to help them facilitate a conversation with their CPA. It's also a way for you to possibly get to work with their CPA too. If you're sending this piece, clients read it and say, yeah, I do have these questions. I could use your help. It can be a great way to meet your clients' CPAs as well. So that is the main handout that we recommend sending out. Also, if by November you have not sent out the last chance checklist, you definitely want to do it then. And then lastly, we have another handout that I think is a great piece to send out at year end, and that's called 50 Things What a Financial Professional Does for You. I actually have this up here. If we can switch over to it and show it. It kind of just goes through, 50 things that you do for all of your clients. And I think this is a really powerful piece because I've heard stories from countless advisors who say, oh, my client, didn't know that I could help them with taxes or didn't know I could help them with college planning. And it's very likely that many of your clients don't realize or don't know everything that you do for them on a regular basis. And this reprint here kind of walks them through the different things that you're able to do for them or that you do for them and they don't even realize that you're doing. So this is a great piece to send out, kind of like a little brag sheet for you, but also as a reminder to them because they might have situations that have come up in the last few years that they need help with, and they didn't even realize they could come to you for that help.
Yeah, I think 50 Things is probably, all-time top 5 article reprint. I'll call it an article reprint. Over the years, advisors just keep coming back. They love it. They love it. They love it. And people are still discovering it every year. And if you're listening right now and you've never heard about this, definitely get on the Horsesmouth site and check it out because I think you'll discover that your clients will like it and you'll like what your clients are saying about it. So that brings us, I think, to the end of our monthly marketing meeting. Is there anything else we need to touch on, Devin?
I think that's it.
All right, everybody. Well, thanks so much. We'll see you again next month. And we'll see you this time next week with our continuing Build a Better Business series. I'm Sean Bailey, Editor-in-Chief at Horsesmouth. Thanks for being with us.